Tired of dropping your phone or struggling to prop it up? Meet the PopSockets phone grip with expanding kickstand in black, your new must-have accessory. Don't miss out. Grab yours today. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
Welcome back to Trega, where we dive into the world of wealth and power in Washington, D.C. today. We're talking about some of the biggest players on Capitol Hill, and one guy who's making a pretty penny, Representative Scott H. Peters. So, what can you do with $364,100? Well, if you're Representative Scott H. Peters, apparently you can use it to make a nice little profit in the stock market. According to Quiver Quantitative, this man made a whopping $364,100 last month alone. That's one heck of a day at the office. But what really gets me is when you look at his overall net worth, estimated to be around $59 million. That puts him 25th on the list of wealthiest members of Congress. Now, I'm not saying this guy is wealthy by any means, but he's certainly doing something right. We also know that a big chunk of that wealth comes from publicly traded assets, approximately $24.1 million invested in the stock market, according to Quiver Quantitative. And let me tell you, with the Stock Act in place, we can actually track some of those trades and see how they're shaking out. Now, I'm not saying Representative Peters is doing anything wrong here, but it's worth noting that he did recently file some big disclosure forms, $194,100 in fundraising, for example. That's a pretty significant amount, especially considering 17.1% of that came from individual donors. But what really caught my eye was the fact that this guy has a pretty substantial cash stash on hand, $2.2 million, to be exact. Now, I know some folks might say that's a lot of money, but it's also worth noting that Representative Peters is one of the top 135 earners in the country. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, wait a minute, this guy sounds like a pretty wealthy dude. And to that, I'd say, you're right. But what's interesting here is how his net worth compares to some of the other big players on Capitol Hill. At Trega, we love digging into these kinds of stories and exploring the intersection of power and wealth in Washington, D.C. It's not always easy to navigate this world, but it's definitely fascinating. So there you have it, Representative Scott H. Peters is making a pretty penny in the stock market, and his net worth reflects that. But as we've seen, it's also worth noting some of the bigger picture trends here, like how his fundraising and spending habits are shaping up for the year ahead. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Trega. If you want to see more stories like this, or just learn more about the world of wealth and power in Washington, D.C., be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell.